Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, Chairman of Bursa Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Umar Swift, Chief Executive Officer of Bursa Malaysia. Jonathan Edward Duckett, Executive Director of the Malaysian Investor Relations Association. Our featured panelists for today, Gerald Ambrose, Chief Executive Officer of Aberdeen Islamic Malaysia Sdn Berhad, Christine Lau, Head of Investor Relations, Digi.com Berhad, and Crystal Tay, Head of Investor Relations, Sunway Group. Distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of Guidebook 3 of the PLC Transformation Programme entitled Strengthening Stakeholder Management and Investor Relations. Our event today resides under the umbrella of the overarching PLC Transformation Programme that was launched by Yang Berhormat Senator Tengku Datuk Sri Utama Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, Minister of Finance, in the first quarter of this year. Since the launch of the PLC Transformation Programme, Bursa Malaysia has engaged PLCs and other capital market stakeholders to onboard early adopters and champions who also believe in the need and spirit of the programme's objectives. We are encouraged by some industry players who have approached us to explore how they too can contribute towards supporting growth of our PLCs. We had also engaged several PLCs and stakeholders to develop 3 guidebooks in the series. This Guidebook 3, entitled Strengthening Stakeholder Management and Investor Relations, looks into the best practices of stakeholder management in PLCs, including the importance of the investor relations program and associated activities that ultimately lead to improvement in the overall performances of PLCs. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to begin today's event, it is my pleasure to invite Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, Chairman of Bursa Malaysia, to deliver the opening remarks. Dipersilakan.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Umar Swift, our CEO, distinguished panelists, board members, leaders of corporate Malaysia, institutional investors, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Welcome to Bursa Malaysia and to the launch of this third guidebook under the PLC Transformation Programme entitled Strengthening Stakeholder Management and Investor Relations. It is great to see some of our PLCs, our institutional investors, and many investor relations professionals and personnel here at our listing gallery. Welcome again. Now, in anticipation of the discussion that will follow shortly, please allow me to cover 3 areas in my welcome address this morning. First, the big picture and what is needed for corporate Malaysia to perform. Secondly, a broad outline of the PLC Transformation Programme and Guidebook 3. And third, the role of the Malaysian Investor Relations Association, MIRA, in helping PLCs to improve their investor relations practices. Ladies and gentlemen, markets that can capture the interest of global investors are more likely to be vibrant. This will in turn facilitate companies in raising funds and achieving better valuation. Hence, the need to strengthen the vibrancy of our market has never been more important in view of our market trading activity, which is currently back at the pre-pandemic levels. Although foreign shareholding in our equities market has remained steady at above 20% over the years, the figure has since reduced to 20.2% in 2022, as compared to the pre-pandemic level of 22.3% back in 2019. The performance of the FBM KLCI benchmark index, currently just above the 1500 level, needs to be improved too, for our broader market to be attractive to investors. And against this backdrop, it is clear that corporate Malaysia will have to improve its performance, especially as global competition intensifies. As I mentioned during the program's launch back in March this year, the PLC Transformation Programme aims to transform Malaysian corporates into high-performing entities. The goal is to steer corporate Malaysia to higher performance levels and increase the attractiveness and investability of listed companies in Malaysia by strengthening the growth narrative of all PLCs of various sizes. Ladies and gentlemen, the PLC Transformation Programme focuses on 5 pillars, which are for PLCs to be purpose and performance-driven, to grow as a sustainable, socially responsible, and ethical organization, to have stronger stakeholder management and investor relations, to be digitally enabled, and last but not least, to contribute towards nation building. The PLC Transformation Programme includes the issuance of a digital guidebook, one for each of the 5 pillars, which will provide PLCs with best practices, benchmarks, and case studies to help bolster their transformation journey. These guidebooks are applicable to all PLCs of all shapes and sizes, particularly those that are recently listed, and it also applies to companies that are well established as well. Over time, we have seen how global development and changing customer demand change the industry's operating landscape. It is therefore imperative for all companies to always step up and ensure they remain relevant and competitive. Ultimately, it is our hope that these guidebooks will aid PLCs in stepping up on their practices, thereby enhancing their attractiveness and appeal to global investors. Today's launch of Guidebook 3, Strengthening Stakeholder Management and Investor Relations, further builds on the first 2 guidebooks, which were issued earlier in March and June, respectively. Strong stakeholder management and investor relations are vital towards building and maintaining relationships, trust, and confidence between the company and its shareholders and stakeholders. Hence, the need for our PLCs to better engage their investors, both locally and abroad, has never been greater, particularly during periods of uncertainty or lackluster performance. Stakeholders today expect much more from the boards of directors and management of PLCs they invest in. Long gone are the days where investors looked solely at the PLC's financial disclosures to make investment decisions. Nowadays, investor attention includes close scrutiny of the company's business strategy roadmap for long-term sustainable growth. Therefore, it is critical that PLCs recognize the need to enhance and elevate their approach in stakeholder management, communication, and investor relations narrative. We hope that this guidebook can provide PLCs with some guidance and direction to improve in this regard, allowing them to better articulate their growth plans to investors. Now, as a former Chief Financial Officer of Telecom Malaysia myself, some 21 years ago, back in 2001, I wish this guidebook was available then, and that would have helped me tremendously in navigating the IR, the investor relations challenges of those days. But anyway, I guess it's never too late. Now, on MIRA, speaking of enhancing IR efforts among listed companies, we are indeed pleased to have the Malaysian Investor Relations Association, or better known as MIRA, at today's event, represented by my old colleague, Mr. Jonathan Duckett. We used to work together at Group more than 20 years ago. Now, founded in 2007, MIRA is a professional association dedicated to developing and advancing the status and integrity of investor relations among our PLCs. While there are world-class companies in our market, we must improve our ability to communicate our strengths and potential, as well as respond effectively to stakeholder concerns in order to protect our brand and shareholder value. As such, I would strongly encourage all Malaysian IR professionals to engage closely with MIRA in order to enhance your stakeholder management and investor relations capability. Allow me to assure you that we at Bursa Malaysia, together with MIRA, will renew our support towards the upskilling and sharing of know-how and experience for all the public listed companies. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I cannot stress enough how critical it is to have continued support from industry champions and the commitment of all corporate leaders. Without your support, the objective of this PLC Transformation Programme to steer corporate Malaysia to higher performance levels may not be achieved. Therefore, on behalf of corporate Malaysia, I would like to extend our sincere thanks and heartfelt appreciation to all the PLCs that have committed to the program thus far, as well as the various organizations that have come in as champions to support and encourage our PLCs. To the rest of the PLCs, I look forward to seeing many more of you signing up to be part of our PLC transformation journey and thereby increasing the overall attractiveness and investability of our corporate Malaysia. Now, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone involved in the PLC Transformation Programme for all your hard work behind the scene. To our Bursa Malaysia team, led by Datuk Umar and the senior leadership team, Zulmus, Rashida, Azhar and Mazliana, to Aina and the PMO lead, Jason Sim and Ali Imran, to the PMO support team, Maiza Tuliza, Daliawati, Nur Hafizawati, Safuddin, Dominica Chin, and the GSC team members, to our PwC team members, where you Raj, okay, our Mrs. Sundara Raj, Dominic Isheni, and Glenda, as well as Reda and Andrew, who worked on the earlier two books, and key people who specifically worked on the 3 guidebooks, and these are people like our own Wong Keong, Stephanie Tan, Chong Waiman, Dr. Yo Ken Kid, Sami Kim, Rasmona, and of course our CRO too, Julian Hashim. So we are so grateful to all of you for all the work you have done. Indeed, it does take a lot of effort to mobilize this huge initiative that we are doing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. So now I would also like to thank our panelists for this morning. Mr. Jerry Ambrose, we have Christine and Crystal from DG and Sunway respectively. Thank you so much for doing this, and to be moderated by Jonathan Duckett later. So I look forward to hearing and listening to the session afterwards.